We'll play a little clip reel, and then we're gonna go ahead and break this down.
Can a person stay happy while single?
I think people are too dependent on happiness. Happiness is circumstantial, happiness is temporary, it's fleeting, emotions are fleeting. And one of those circumstances that people try to like milk happiness from is a relationship. And that is what some people do, is they get into a relationship to funnel the happiness out of it and fulfill themselves. So like, I don't even think it's a matter of being happy single. I think you just need to be at peace alone, whether you're happy or not.
We always looking for an outside source to be happy.
Yeah.
Like what's the need for an outside source? And why to keep happy single? Maybe you being single makes you happy. Like you dealt with some trauma, you know what I'm saying?
All right, so you guys heard the video. How can a person stay happy while single? Interesting take what he said about happiness. I thought it was kind of unique perspective there. So what do you guys thoughts? How can a person stay happy while single? Is it possible?
I don't think there's no such thing being happy while single, because happiness is just an emotion that is fleeting, whether you're with somebody or not. Being joyful, whether you're single or in a relationship, is a state of being. So like he said, being in a state of peace. I don't believe people are independent. We're naturally interdependent. So we are here to connect and create. But happiness is fleeting. Happiness is fleeting, just like anger, just like sadness. It's something that comes and goes. But being in a constant state of joy or gratitude is a state of just being as a human being.
Okay.
I would have to disagree. And the reason why I say that is because there are a lot of women years ago and now that jump from one relationship to another, and they can't actually be fully happy with their next person because, one, they're not taking time for themselves, and two, they just learned one person to learn another person, and that takes a lot of energy, and you can't understand yourself in between time. So I think I've been single for a little bit, and I guess COVID was a factor as well. But when you get to really know yourself, understand yourself, love yourself, and you get to understand every piece that you didn't get to learn with another person, it's amazing. It's amazing to know yourself. So when you do get with that next person, you know yourself so well that you can teach your person how to love you and how to respect you and everything else.
Siobhan, but do you understand the difference between happiness and joy?
I do.
So let me ask you a question. It's 24 hours in a day. Are you happy the entire 24 hours in that day? Are you happy?
I think that throughout the day my mood does change, whether it's a meeting or whether it's just a lot on my plate and having to do everything. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. It's the word happy that can detect the phrase. Happiness, we're not happy 24 hours a day. You might slightly get annoyed. You might be complacent. You might be angry as just a human being. So to expect to be in a state of constant happiness single is an asinine phrase versus being in a state of joy. Even when you're angry, you're still joyful because you're alive. So that's what I mean, the difference between joyful and happiness.
Okay.
Yeah, I just would say just really quick, I ain't gonna be long, but yeah, I agree with you, Amber, because the way I was taught about happiness is affected by external factors, right? But joy is internal, right? So can a person be happy single? I mean, in order for you to do that, you'd have to know yourself. And I don't think people do. I mean, because like when you think about happiness, everything, like I said, happiness is an external state of being. Like it's impacted everything that makes you happy. It's all external. If I get a new pair of sneakers, I'm happy about that. If I have a good experience, like if I go to work and have a good day at work, and I'm happy about that. Like all those are external. But when you're joyful or joyous, that's all impacted by internal. What you know internal, and that could be your connection with the Creator. That can be most of the times for me, it's doing that self-work, realizing who I am day by day and becoming a better person. So that's my take on it.
Actually, I have a question for y'all. So I feel like Rilla, you and Siobhan mentioned it. What are the things that y'all do that's creating joy that you think is separate from a relationship where you're not necessarily seeking out connections with other people?
Oh,
what's
yeah,
kind of the difference?
So for me, I'll just say for me first, I was before I got into this relationship, I was coming out of a different relationship, and I was very intentional about dealing with the things that I needed to deal with, right? So I know the things that make me content, that I find fulfillment in, and I have to have those things in place. Has nothing to do with anybody else. I have to be able to stand as a man on my own too. I have to be focused on my purpose, but I also have to do things outside of being with somebody else, whether that's me collecting vinyl, listening to music, reading a good book, journaling, all those things. I have to be very self-invested in self before I can connect to somebody else.
When did you learn that that's what you needed? Like, is that always something that you used to ignore? You know what I'm saying? Or did that take you to
Man,
force
years,
yourself
bro.
down?
Years.
Yeah.
I learned it years ago. I was taught it years ago when I lived in Atlanta, but I didn't put it into practice. By the time I got to Detroit, uh, you know, life had kicked me in the ass long enough, and then you start recalling those lessons. Like, damn, because it's all to me. This is the way I look at it, right? For me, when I'm dealing with God, you got these different levels and different tests, right? And you're gonna keep taking that same test until you pass. You don't get to go to the next level until you pass right where you are. So it wasn't like an epiphany came or anything like that. Life was happening, but I'm always reading, I'm always reflecting, I'm always journaling. I mean, I can't overstate that enough, man. You got to know who you are, and people don't spend enough time asking themselves the real questions. Like, you know how they talk about, like, I could probably fool you, but I cannot fool me.
Yeah. No, you
You're
can't
gonna have to
you
deal
can't
with it
fool
at
the
some point.
reflection in the mirror.
Right. You're gonna have to deal with it at some point. But to be honest, bro, it took me years, but I was very intentional about doing my own self-work.
And that I love that Chicago realist. So many people really do not understand this. And I tell women this all the time. And I'm not even speaking about the men, I'm talking about the woman. I'm a woman. I've always been a naturally happy person. And what I think you said this, Siobhan, or Amber, you teach people how to treat you. You show people how to treat you. But if you're not treating yourself good, why would you expect somebody else to treat you good? And what I say to women is, how do you expect somebody else to love you if you don't love yourself? I love myself. Everybody can see that I love myself, but I love myself now. It hasn't always been like this. I haven't always walked doing the walk how I do now, but I love myself. So I'm able to give out love, and people show me love in return because that's what they feel. About maybe like 10 years ago, I dated this guy, and I was really just finding my happiness, my inner peace and my inner happiness. And I just didn't understand. Every time I would go over this man's house, I would feel sick, like mentally, physically, like I wouldn't feel good. I would feel down. I would feel depressed. And I didn't understand. Talking to one of my best friends, she like, well, what you doing right now? He wasn't home. She's like, I'm about to come over to his house. So she saged and Palo Santo his house. She's like, the sage, if you know anything about sage, of course, Amber knows. The sage, hours, it didn't go out. It did not go out. She was like, you can't be with this man. I was like, bitch, I know. He got bad energy. He don't love himself. So he putting his not love himself for he not gonna love me. So we only dated for a couple months. We still cool to this day. I still see he got that bad energy over there. He can fool other people, but he ain't fool my ass, But yeah, you have to love yourself. That is, that sage would not go out, Amber. It would not.
And you know what else is? I think a lot of people don't know when to leave.
Yes.
They don't know when to leave. And I think that's what brings a woman down even further, because I think it was the Thursday show, or maybe it was last Sunday, they were talking about energy. And when you date a person, thank you. You date a person and somebody can suck that energy from you. And it's a real thing. And also take into consideration that this generation too, there's a lot more mental health issues that are known, that people aren't willing to go and seek the help that they need. And they know something is wrong, but they're just refusing. It's just like the Black community, like, hey, we don't need to go to therapy. We're fine, but we're not fine. We need assistance. And whoever needs the help, mental health issues are real. And I would suggest finding a Black man there, or a Black male therapist, or a Black female therapist. It helps. It really does.
I want to kind of get Rio in there. Go ahead, Rio.
I'm agreeing with a lot of what was said here with the last two ladies. I feel that, for instance, Andrea, I think even this is not just on the stage. I was evaluating even backstage before we started the show. She seems just naturally very exuberant, right? And I didn't necessarily place that with who she's dating. It just seems like this is her, right? And when she mentioned self love, that made it make sense, right? And so if we bring that to a relationship and we're with a person who also loves themselves, I think you can quadruple the happiness, right? But if you are with a person who's carrying a bag that they're having a difficult time unpacking, they may drain the happiness out of you. And so if we don't, and when I think about happiness, it's feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. If I'm not content when I'm alone, right, I may have some work to do. And if I don't do that work, then I'm going to bring these problems to somebody else. And I'm a person, I can tell you what, I don't think anybody's always happy, right? But if you never like to be alone, there may be something there to think about and evaluate. Because when you're alone, that's when you go into that meditation phase sometimes. That's when you start thinking about life, right? And self. And I think that that's a place that we should all be. Almost, you got to make time for that almost every day. And if you can't do that, then you're walking around almost with this camouflage on, right? You don't want to see yourself. You don't want anybody else to see you. You don't want to hear your thoughts. You don't want anybody else to hear your thoughts, right? And I think that's a place that's almost, it's toxic to bring somebody else into. So that's my thoughts on it so far.
All right.
Well,
So, yeah, Hank.
Yep.
I'm
So
gonna go and say this.
Oh.
How can a person stay happy single? I mean, they can. I wouldn't want to, not me personally, because I want to be able to share my happiness with someone else. Well, if I have all this happiness in me, why wouldn't I want to share with a woman, a lady? I don't want a woman. I want a lady. So why wouldn't I want to share it with a lady? I mean, I would, me personally. So, I mean, I know we talk about good energy. I don't sage, but I use candles, but to me, it's all the same. So we're going to light a candle like Teddy Pendergrass, turn off the lights and get demon time in this bitch. Because I want to share my happiness. All of
Give you all this happiness.
it. 6'3", 255 pounds of happiness. Come on, get it, lady.
So let me ask you this, Hank. If you're not able to share that happiness with folks, after a while, do you think you start to become less happy? Does that joy start to dissipate because you're not making a connection with a lady out there? How long are you gonna be without a lady before it starts to impact your internal voice?
I got too many options out there, man. You shouldn't have to be without. If you want to be by yourself, it's because you choose to. As a man anyway, I don't know about as a lady, but as a man, you choose to be by yourself because you got too many options out there. I mean, and like my man Rio said, there's nothing wrong with being by yourself because you need that time, that time to, self-reflect on what you need to do as a man. You know what I'm saying? So I make sure I get plenty of that. When I go to the gym, I get that, that 45 minutes to hour and a half of me time doing that. Else I'm doing my nerd shit and I'm going off somewhere to a comic book store or looking at Funko Pops. That's me. I'm a nerd. I don't give a shit. Y'all kiss my ass.
I love it. No, I love it.
But I do that shit, and I say, "What
Yes, sir."
ladies? It is what it is." But that's what I would do. You know what I'm saying? I even go so far as I go to a little league football. I ain't got no kids out there, but I just go out there because it's my peaceful place, just to watch these kids enjoy themselves and play the game they love. So that's this thing I do by myself. It don't matter. I go to the movies by myself. I go out to eat. Hey, I go to Starbucks by myself. Whatever it takes, to get myself in the right place, in the right frame of mind, and to be good. So when I come and I am with that lady, she know I'm gonna be all the way right because I'm at peace.
Yes.
I have a girlfriend that I love dearly. She is one of my closest friends. Like, she don't have any kids. She's a career woman, and we're about the same age. Maybe she's a year older. But if we go out and she gets there before me, she is not going to go into the restaurant or the lounge, Walmart. She's not going in anywhere until someone arrives. Like, she's not going to go out to eat by herself. She's not going to go. She may go have a cocktail by herself, but that's a place that maybe she's already been to. But she's not going to go to the movies by herself. I go everywhere by myself.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm walking in that joint like I own that bitch.
Me too.
Okay.
You know, that's kind of crazy. I don't go anywhere by myself. I don't think I've ever been in a bar by myself. I don't think I've ever gone like seen a movie by myself. I don't know. I just maybe I've always had somebody with me, whether it's my dad, my brother, a friend, or you know, my wife who was my girlfriend for a very long time. So I love being alone, but I guess I don't do activities alone. Like I like my downtime is considered my alone time, but I haven't necessarily maybe the gym. I don't even count the gym necessarily as a thing to do with somebody else, but like socially, I don't think I've ever really been to a place by myself like that. I may be waiting on my food and get a quick drink, but I've never gone to the bar.
I'm going to challenge you, Cal, to go to. I know you live in Antioch. I know, you know, it's the middle of nowhere, but I just spent a little time in the Upper Peninsula, you know, so it's like, you know, it's like y'all got some little bars, you know, sit down places. Go to a happy hour this week and you have to stay 2 hours by yourself.
Ooh.
By yourself. Order you an appetizer, a cocktail, but you can talk on the phone. But you gotta be there by yourself. Y'all, you with me, Cal?
I'm with you. I'm gonna try to do that actually.
Yeah. Go ahead and try it.
It is really amazing.
When you go out alone, especially as a man, you'd be surprised how many people you meet. You know, because you become more approachable when you're by yourself. You know, it's not a lot of men that will go sit down and have breakfast by themselves. I don't go to the movies by myself. I can't even recall when I went to the movies last, but that's something that I've never done. But I'm not a movie person like that. I will go, but I'm not eager to go see like whatever movie is just coming out. I almost forgot about the damn movie, especially in this pandemic. Everything been coming on TV.
Yeah.
Was it Hulu, Stars? I mean, you name it. But I think it is important for you to go out there and have you some alone time. Just an experience. You got to get uncomfortable in order to learn things, in order to see if there's some other things you may like. You may catch a different vibe that's positive that you can bring back to the house by going out by yourself. So it's just a lot of advantages that can be when you just try new things. Get out your comfort zone. Ms. Toy, I know we ain't heard nothing from you. What are your thoughts about it?
So I do agree with a lot of what everybody has said. As far as trying to stay happy while single, it can be done. People just have to have hobbies, like things that they like to do by themselves. Because even being in a relationship or being married, you still have to know how to be happy within yourself. So I cannot be dependent upon my husband to keep me happy. So I do believe nobody is happy every day, especially us as women. I mean, we deal with something, on a monthly basis that affects our mood. And I know for me, another medical moment, I suffer what was called PMDD. So that's premenstrual dysphoric disorder. So my form of PMS is 10 times worse than the average woman. So that's something that I'm fighting with mentally, just like Siobhan talked about. Mental health is very serious. And I have, went to the doctor and addressed for that. So me doing my fitness, that's another like huge boost of me dealing with, keeping myself happy. My plants, like I talked about last Sunday, it's just finding things to keep you at peace. I mean, do everybody want to have somebody to be with and enjoy life with? Yes. And I see nothing wrong with that. But I don't think people should be codependent upon others. I think you should be in a space within your life that you can be happy without, having someone with you. And it's just finding things that you enjoy to do in life that keeps you happy.
Yeah, I think you said a word there, man. I don't think I appreciate it a long time as much as I do now. Could be the older you get, just don't feel like being bothered. But it ain't just with kids. Sometimes you just don't feel like being bothered with other grown folks. It's just that something about that peace of mind sometimes, because you may be going through something within yourself, and sometimes can't nobody else really be able to solve whatever it is that you're trying to fix within yourself. So you discover a lot with your long time. I just suggest everybody just try to get a piece of it. Sometimes you need it, especially if you stay in a small house or something like that. I can't even imagine people that live together and staying in a small house and you really have nowhere to really go. You know, I just can't imagine that. But I'm pretty sure it's difficult. But I've heard a lot of different stories about people not knowing where to go. And they're not comfortable with going out. So they usually just sit there within the madness. So that's why you have to understand how to get out and enjoy and breathe, whether it be the gym. The gym is a place where most men look at it as a place where they can just have some me time. You know, basketball, riding bikes, photography. Shout out to Amber, guys, and Rio. Make sure you guys go check them out too. The photos are amazing. But yeah, some me time. So yeah.
Ain't nobody else catch JR flexing talking about he got a big house. Said I couldn't imagine being in a small house.
No, I didn't say nothing like that, really.
I mean, 7 bedrooms, JR, 5 baths. 6-car garage.
You got that putting out that energy, man. So you already know. I'm not ready for that, man. I stay in the studio. So
it's Sunday, Rilla. It's Sunday.
I just had a question.
Nah, Rilla.